It always seems on the nights where I really have no idea what it is that I'm going to talk about, it seems that situations always arise that offer me the opportunity to have something very clear to discuss. So tonight we have a whole bunch of people away, officers. I think a lot of people are sick. Maybe some of them have come down with election fever and are lying at home in bed watching multiple news channels as the election results come in from our neighbors in the United States. This evening we just had somebody who came and didn't realize that it was a participation kind of event, and so didn't want to come into the room and meditate. And that's okay. But then they wanted to know if they could stay outside the room and watch. And our Shika, who is always so kind and so compassionate, said, "Oh yeah, sure, you can watch." But then Eshu pulls him aside and says, "Zen's not a spectator sport." And this is our lesson today. This is what I want to talk about today. Your life isn't a spectator sport. We set up these barriers of inside and outside. And even coming into this kind of a room, all of you know sitting here, or you should know, maybe I should say expressly, I don't ask that you believe anything. In fact, I really don't want you to believe anything. You don't have to change anything that you think out there when you come into this room to sit and do zazen. In fact, if anything, I just want you to drop it all. All I want you to do when you come in here is to sit while you're sitting, to breathe as you're breathing, to chant when we chant, to walk when we walk. Don't make an issue out of it. Don't make a system out of it. Don't make a belief out of it. That's not what we're doing. This practice is to engage with our life. The experience of this person tonight is our own experience in so many moments and aspects of our life. We set up what our expectation is, or we set up what our idea is, and when we arrive, wherever it is that we're going, or whatever it is that we're trying to do, and we find things a little bit different than we expected, we have a critical point or a critical decision. And that is, do we fixate? Do we rigidly grab onto who it is that we think we are and how things ought to be? Because if we do that, then our life becomes this practice of sitting on the outside looking in. We can even think that we're doing whatever it is that we're doing, but we're on the outside looking in. Or we can have the courage to say, oh, this is who I think I was. This is how I thought things were going to be. This is how I thought it would pan out, and it didn't. No sense hanging on to that idea. How about we just drop it and get on with what's unfolding right in front of me? Because if I hang on to what I thought, then all I've got is ideas. I'm hanging on to ideas and missing my life. But if I'm able to just let go and enter into this new moment, this new life that's arising in front of me, then I let go of these ghosts, of these shells, of these empty carcasses of ideas, and I enter into the living stream of my life. And that's what we're doing. That's what this practice is about. This is such a beautiful illustration because I think we've all been there. Oh, it's going to be like this, and we get there. And we feel the tightness in our necks and the tightness in our chests, and our breathing changes and our heart rate accelerates, and we go, can't do it! Ah! And according to the teachings of Buddhism, this is the manifestation of suffering. The characteristics are always the same, whether it's meeting a new person or starting a new job or getting a new project or on and on and on, being in a new place, trying a new practice. And this is the most important time to remember what we're doing here, because it can change your life. Simply this practice of breathing, allowing the body to be alert, awake, and yet relaxed. Allowing the rigidity that we're tightening, we're latching onto, to soften, and allowing ourselves to move. Even in this process of a single period of seated meditation, you can watch, you can experience, you can become aware of this process in your own mental, emotional, physical being. You find that as we pay attention to our breath, as we pay attention to our posture, as we pay attention to what we're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, there is a softening. A dissolution is the word that I often use. We are entering into the experience of what it is to be here sitting together. As a thought arises, as a feeling arises, as we get a little twinge in our leg, we can feel this sort of constriction, this division that's taking place between ourselves, our thought, and our environment. And if we catch it, we can actually consciously turn it around and go the other way and continue to soften again. The value of this practice permeates our entire lives once we become aware of what it is that we're doing. Once we become aware, once this fundamental awareness of where we are with our mind, with our body, with our hearts, once this starts to develop, it permeates every aspect of our life. When we talk about awakening in Zen, in Buddhism, this is what we're talking about. And as we begin to wake up, as we begin to become more aware of what it is that we're doing in our lives, for the first time we realize how much of our lives we spend asleep, going from one thing to another, one object to another, thinking that they're separate, thinking that they are our ideas, thinking that we are our idea. And when we begin to see that these ideas are just that, ideas that don't necessarily reflect this activity that's unfolding before us as our life. When we, in our regular liturgy in the Zen Center, we chant 4 vows. And one of those vows is to Dharma gates beyond measure, I vow to penetrate. The applications of this fundamental awareness are limitless. They're endless. They're never ending. The opportunities for us to awaken to this dynamic activity unfolding, which is our life, It's just never ending. And so if we're going to engage in Zen practice, the commitment that we make is just to continuously, endlessly awaken. It happens on this cushion. It happens when we come into a new environment. It happens when we meet a new person, or when we meet an old, familiar, difficult person. How do we awaken to this fundamental unity, this fundamental nature, this fundamental unfolding which has as its content all things?